Hey y'all, I tried making this video the day after earnings came out, but this is for Canadian Solar, CSIC, their second quarter results, August 2022. I listened to the conference call, took some notes from the CEO, CFO. That you can just go to the any company investor relations page and you can go to their events and presentations and you can click here to listen to the conference call. It'll ask you, I believe, for your name, your occupation, email, stuff like that. Um, really, don't really matter what you put in there. Um, it'll still let you. Let me see here. Probably gonna say enter valid stuff. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. This is for most of the companies that log in. They're gonna be like, you know, Bloomberg, New York Times, whatever. So that's how they keep track. But I just put the company that I work at. It doesn't ask any questions. But then it loads up the conference call. Everything gets recorded so you can listen to it live. You can listen to it after the fact. And if you sign up in time, I've heard of retail investors being able to ask questions. I've never been able to do so, but I'm always busy at work or whatever during the conference calls. So I don't know if I would have the opportunity to. I never give it a shot, but usually it's market watch journalists or whatever. They ask pretty bad questions, but if you have luck, you can go there. Pretty much every company has investors relation page, and they will have their conference call, and you can listen straight from the board of directors. CEO usually is there, CFO is always there, chief operations officer is always there. They talk and give you updates about the company. And in this case, with Canadian Solar, they were going over their PowerPoint and they say, flip to page 4 of the PowerPoint. And then they're going over, okay, this number here is representative of this or whatever. And they're breaking it down. And they're kind of building off of the prior quarterly reports or annual reports. So they don't go into, they're not, going into teach mode. But they assume you've been following the company thus far. But they'll go through and kind of explain more in depth than what the slides suggest. So some of the highlights I just want to go over. They had a earnings per share of $1.07 or $1.16 non diluted, and the difference there is because they issued convertible notes. And let's see, they are going to begin investing in polysilicon. Up until now, they outsourced their polysilicon as one of the most expensive input costs into making the cells, which makes the module. Well, no, it's the cell that makes the ingot that makes the module. And so polysilicon, they're gonna, yeah, let me see. We're gonna start seeing the drop. First quarter of 2023, they are going to begin. Uh, they are going to begin their manufacture, building out the factory to supply that polysilicon to their own company. And that will drastically cut their input cost, so that'll raise margins. But they're expecting to see a profit from that investment in 2025. So from 2023 to 2025, you're going to see increase capital expenditure, capex. But then after 2025, when that factory is up and running and they are able to supply their own polysilicon 100%, they will see tremendous profits from that. And they go on to note that the research in polysilicon matches the research of that of cells, ingots, modules, basically saying that polysilicon, the production of it and the properties of it is not rare anymore. It's not, intellectual property is not preventing anybody from pursuing this avenue. So we should see the cost of solar panels across the board radically drop in the next couple of years, just because of that huge input cost is significantly dropping. Polysilicon price in general will begin to drop probably Q4. And that is because there was a fire at a recent supplier, and that's going to start to recover. So they're going to see relief in Q4, highest performance quarter since 2018. Let's see, they had a 36% increase in research and development. That is the profit from the, let's see, there's a stronger dollar. So the U.S. dollar is stronger currently, and so their holdings in U.S. dollar benefited from that to the tune of $6 million. And that $6 million they pretty much funneled directly into research and development. So it's a 36% increase in research and development. All of the benefit of that $6 million from the stronger dollar funneled it straight into research and development. They have been diverting their panels to Vietnam to ship to the U.S. That kind of, they didn't touch on it too much. They really didn't touch on the HFCAA, the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act, something that we've covered here before. One of my main concerns, they really didn't touch on that too much, although I have seen some companies delisted from the Chinese exchanges, and other companies state that they are working with the U.S. government, and there does seem to be some sort of deal that's working out. And so I really don't know. This still kind of overhangs. I didn't hear anything mentioned in the conference call. I don't see anything in the PowerPoint or in the press release, unfortunately. Let's see. 2022, they expect $7.5 to $8 billion revenue, which is an increase from, I think, a $500 million increase from what they previously said. And they expect 1.8 to 1.9 gigawatt hours of battery storage shipped, expected for this year. No, they expect, that's just for this quarter. They expect 2.6 gigawatt hours for the year. And then for modules, they expect 6 to 6.2 gigawatts for the year. And let's see, what else we have? They re-emphasized, again, I have on here polysilicon, them starting to develop their own polysilicon. I have that on here 5 or 6 different times. They spent a lot of time on the conference call talking about that. Again, this has been a month or so since I listened to it, so I'm trying to recap here. Global Solar hit 1 terawatt installed across the entire world. Not Canadian Solar, but Canadian, Jinko, First Solar, all of the solar companies combined. Globally, we've hit 1 trillion. Let's see. They are going to begin expanding their cell ingot wafer module production Q3 and Q4. So we will see increased capital expenditure in the back half of this year. And that is, let's see, revenue of $2.31 billion this quarter. They have $2.7 billion in debt. Where is their net income? Not seeing it on here. But we are gonna get into the PowerPoint now. So let's see. Here is this quarter, and it's comparing previous quarters here. Net revenues, $2.3 billion, and you can see we've been at 1.5 was our last recent net revenue in the Q4 of 2021. Gross margin, we hit 16%. Let's see. Research and development, we hit 18 million. Total operating expenses is the highest. Operating income, 116 million, and the net income was 89 million, which is double. What was that? Q4 2021 was the last recent highest net income of 40 million, and here we have 89 million here. And so the diluted EPS was 1.07, and this little asterisk here, you can see at the bottom of the page, diluted EPS includes the dilutive effect of convertible bonds. So that is what I mentioned. They went into a little bit more detail in the conference call, explaining their convertible bonds that they issued. Highlights: Q2 solar module shipments were up 37% to 5.1 gigawatts. Total revenue was up 62% to 2.31 billion. Let's see here. We kind of went over that. All right, moving on. Whoa, here we go. Okay, yeah, moving on. Okay, so Q2 2022 actual shipments versus what they are guiding for next quarter. So they shipped 5.1 gigawatts this quarter, 6 to 6.2 gigawatts next quarter is expected. Battery storage shipments 800 megawatt hour this quarter, and nothing expected for next quarter. The revenue is expected to decline to next quarter. The gross margins, they're allowing for 1 percentage point drop to 0.5 percentage increase. Interesting to see there, because they'll be shipping 1 additional gigawatt hour of solar, but nothing in battery, and no project sales expected. So we'll see how that plays out. And then here's what they're guiding for the entire year. So they're expecting to ship 1.9, almost 2 gigawatt hours of batteries, but they're not going to ship any next quarter. This is interesting. Fiscal year 2021, they shipped 896 megawatt hours of batteries. In this quarter alone, they almost shipped as much, and they're expected to double, a little bit more than double, for this entire year. And the project sales, just about in line. They're expecting a 10% gain there, 50% gain on the modules. Batteries 100% clearly. Revenue 50%. They're gonna grow revenue 50% year over year. Gross margin, they were 17.2% for the year last year. They're not really guiding anything here. They're gonna start new battery storage products next month, utility and residential. Okay, let's see. Here is, they're not really detailing out past 2022 what areas of the world they're targeting, but they are showing their growth potential here. That's their solar, and then here on the right they're showing their battery. Battery's gonna grow exponentially faster than the solar modules at this point. That's to be expected, as battery storage is relatively new thing coming out, and we already have tons of solar installed across the world. ESG report. Here is what powers their facilities. 11% is dirty. Everything else is mostly hydro, solar, and wind powering most of their facilities and suppliers. And let's see, what else do we have? They kind of reiterated their strategy, their company strategy. They talked a little bit about this model of building out solar facilities across the world and maintaining and operating those, selling electricity back to either companies or municipalities or entire countries. and occasionally they'll sell the entire plant, and they'll maintain like a 10% share and receive payments for that facility. They're saying here the massive growth potential as solar remains underpenetrated. And in this slide before, they're saying that it's the most environmentally and economically attractive source of electricity. And here they show the electricity generation by fuel type. Solar remaining the lowest below nuclear, followed by hydro, gas, and coal. Across the world being the most used source of fuel. And this is across the world. Solar's cumulative capacity base. They're saying it could reach 20 terawatt by 2050, and we're currently at 1 terawatt. We just hit 1 terawatt this quarter in 2022. And so, in order to achieve the 1.5 degrees Celsius Paris Climate Agreement goal, we need to reach 5.5 terawatt by 2030 and 20 terawatt by 2020 or 2050. So that's kind of how they're projecting there. So they're saying we could 20x the solar industry in the course of, 30 years, 28 years. And then here we have the solar module price declining throughout time. Here, it costs 20 cents per watt to produce and install solar photovoltaic modules, which at the beginning of the millennia was $4.90 per watt. So we've come down, 99% or so. Declining marginal benefit from further module price cuts. So modules are becoming less and less profitable. Yeah, there's declining marginal benefit because in order to stay competitive or for any other reason, module cost is declining, representing less of the share of profits, and which makes it even better that they're getting into the battery side of things and the entire system. Now you need inverters, other things. Well, you need inverters regardless. Let's see. They operate in 18 countries. They have 17 factories in 4 different countries. Let's see. Yeah, here is the expansion plan. So here, the first half of 2022, they have the capacity for ingot, wafer, cell, and modules. And then fiscal year 2022 expected. They expect to grow ingots 4x, wafers 2x, cells 33%, modules maybe 10% or less. And then by the end of next year, they expect to almost double modules from where they are now, cells to almost triple, wafers they will 2.5x from where they are now, and ingots will 5x from where they are now. Let's see, market share, Canadian Solar is currently at about 10% market share. In 3 to 5 years, they expect to be at 15% market share. Let's see. They got kind of the project pipeline of what countries around the world they will be building plants in. And they break it down by the plants in operation, plants in construction, backlog, advanced pipeline, and early stage pipeline. Wouldn't pay too much attention to the early stage pipeline number. And then the saturation of where they are operating. Oh, interesting. So, oh, this is cumulative power plants here. Okay. Yeah, never mind. They are working on maybe 1 gigawatt peak at the moment in terms of power plants. And at the end of 2022, they should have 7 gigawatt peak in power plants operational cumulatively. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Nah, let me see. I'm going to leave. Oh. Nah, I'm just going to hop over to the quarterly report results here. How we doing on time? Let's see. 21 minutes, a little long. Let's see here. So they had guided for 4.9 to 5.1 gigawatts. They came in at 5.1 basically. So they hit the high end of their expectations for module shipments. 62% increase in revenue year over year to 2.31 billion. And they had guided 2.2 to 2.3. So they actually exceeded revenue. 16% gross margin exceeded the guidance range of 14.5 to 15.5%. Net income of 74 million or 1.07 cents per diluted share. Accelerating upstream capacity expansion plans. Yeah, so that's going to be the ingot, cell, wafer, module capacity expansion plans that they're talking about there. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So let's compare quarter over quarter. Revenues up $600 million quarter over quarter. Cost of revenues up 500 million quarter over quarter. Gross profit, let's see, income doubled from quarter over quarter, and then the gross margin increased by 1.5%, just about. And so, yeah, looking pretty good. My main concern going into this was I wanted to see something on the HFCAA. I didn't see anything. But we did see the stock price increase. I think just because of how well they performed this past quarter. But by letting us know that they are getting started on the their capacity expansion, and they're gearing up for the polysilicon factory in the beginning of 2023, we should see lower gross margins, which is going to mean a lower EPS, which is going to mean a higher PE ratio, which is going to mean that the fundamentals of the company are going to look worse going into next year and probably the year after. It just depends their input costs, how much those come down. They did say that shipping, and maybe I can find that in the PowerPoint. Let me do a quick search here for shipping, because they did say that their shipping costs came down. Their shipping costs came down quite a bit, they were saying. Usually it doesn't say, I don't think. I forget how much. I want to say 33%. Shipping costs came down 33%, which is one of the things that they were saying was, shipping was one of the things that hurt their margins so badly in the prior quarters, but in the earnings report in the conference call, they were saying that shipping costs came down like 33%, something like that, and then fuel, all of that has come down, and that's helping. Polysilicon costs have come down, but they're going to see most of their relief there in Q3 and into Q4. So it'll be interesting to see um, what the margins look like. They already guided for lower margins and lower revenue that we saw earlier in the PowerPoint. So this is probably going to be the best quarter for a while, I would guess. But like I always say, I prefer a company to invest their profitability into more operating capacity. And if they're going to, and they did use this term in the conference call, they say that they plan to vertically integrate, and developing that polysilicon factory will help them vertically integrate. And so they can get their polysilicon, they can make the cell, they can make the ingots and the wafers, they can make their own modules, they're going to make their own batteries, install, maintain, provide the software, everything for the entire energy package. They're going to own and operate, do maintenance. So they'll be pretty well vertically integrated, and that'll help improve their margins. And basically, they're given a timeline of 2025 for their entire plan to come into fruition. And they're just about to, I mean, this year they're going to ship, let's see, where was it? This year they are shipping. So this entire year they're shipping 20 to 22 gigawatts modules and then 2 gigawatts of battery. And they just started shipping batteries last year, end of last year. Yeah. And so end of last year they first began battery storage shipments, and they almost shipped 1 gigawatt hour. This year they're shipping 2 gigawatt hours and 100% year over year gain. Before you know it, they're going to be shipping just as much batteries as they are solar modules, and they're going to be, I mean, that's a full package right there. And if they're already producing all of the elements to go into their systems, minus the polysilicon. Once they get that factory up and running, they won't have to pay any markup or profit to any other company. They just produce, deliver, and they should be a pretty lean company in the future. I'm just interested to see how it all works out with the SEC. That's the only thing that's really holding me back from going, throwing a large amount of money. Well, I have a good amount of money, maybe like 5%, 5 to 8% of my portfolio invested in Canadian solar. So it's a good amount, but I would love to go more heavy into Canadian solar, but I am still caught up on the SEC. I wish they would have given some sort of guidance. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up here. We will see Q3 to see if the polysilicon relief has helped. I know fuel prices are coming down, and then we'll look to see what the strength of the dollar ends up doing relative to the yen, I want to say. We'll see how that pans out, and we'll go over this again in a couple months. Thanks for watching.